You ever notice one thing in a group that just doesn't match the rest? One person in a room full of people who all seem to already know each other. One thought in your head that doesn't sound like anybody else's around you. A version of you that showed up somewhere and immediately felt like the wrong piece in the wrong puzzle. That feeling has a name, even if nobody teaches it to you directly. Not fitting in. And I don't think enough people actually talk about why it happens or what you're supposed to do once you realize it. Here's the thing people get wrong first. Not fitting in doesn't automatically mean something's wrong with you. Sometimes it means you're standing in the wrong environment for who you actually are. Not a worse environment, not a better one, just the wrong one. A room built around a different set of values, interests, or pace than the ones you're actually operating on. A person who's grinding towards something real can feel completely out of place in a room full of people who are comfortable exactly where they are. Not because either side is wrong, because they're solving for different things. Sometimes the mismatch isn't about the room, it's just about timing. You can outgrow an environment the same way you outgrow anything else. A friend group, a hometown, a version of yourself you used to be comfortable being. And when that happens, the discomfort you feel isn't a sign you don't belong anywhere, it's just a sign you don't belong there anymore. That's a hard thing to sit with, because leaving feels like betrayal even when nobody did anything wrong. But staying somewhere out of loyalty to a version of yourself that no longer exists isn't loyalty at all, it's really just delay. Delay from who you could actually be in the future. Or maybe are right now. There's another version of this too, and it's quieter, harder to notice from the outside. Sometimes you don't feel like you fit in a room you're already standing in, even one you technically chose. You laugh just a little bit later because you're checking if the joke landed with everybody else first. You agree slightly more than you actually meant to, just to keep the temperature even. You shrink the parts of yourself that might not translate and perform on the parts that you know will. And that's not fitting in, that's passing. And it's exhausting in a way that's hard to explain to someone who's never had to do it, because from the outside, it just looks like you're doing fine. If it helps at all, this feeling is a lot closer to universal than it looks like from inside your own head. Nearly everybody has stood in a room and felt like the one piece that doesn't match. The people who look the most like they belong somewhere are very often just better at hiding the same feeling you have, not immune to it. You're not uniquely broken for feeling this. You're just experiencing something most people go through without ever saying out loud. That doesn't make the feeling go away, but it does mean you're not being singled out by the universe. You're just having a very normal human experience that nobody warns you about in advance. So here's the actual answer, and not just some sympathy. First, determine which version you're dealing with. Are you in the wrong room, or have you outgrown a room that used to fit you? Those need different responses. Wrong room means you go find a better one. Outgrown room means you're allowed to leave, even if nothing about it was technically bad. Second, stop performing to close the gap. If you're shrinking yourself to fit somewhere, that's not belonging. It's hiding in plain sight, and it costs more than it gives back. A room you have to perform in isn't actually yours. Third, and this is the one that actually matters the most, you don't need every room to accept you. You need a few real ones. Belonging was never supposed to be universal. It was supposed to be specific. A handful of people, a handful of spaces, where you don't have to actively translate yourself to be understood or feel like you actually belong there. That's the real target, not fitting in everywhere, fitting somewhere completely without editing yourself down to get there. So if you've ever felt like the one piece that just doesn't match or doesn't fit in, that's not proof something's wrong with you. It just means you're standing in the wrong room, or that you've already outgrown the one you're in, and some part of you already knows it. Either way, the answer was never to shrink until you fit. It was just to go find where you already do. I'll see you in the next one.